welcome back to The Witcher 3. As you may or may not know, I very recently finished the main story of this game. I've been meaning to do videos of this game in the past, but by the time I started making these videos, I was already pretty far into the story. So to me it didn't really make a lot of sense to, to jump in the middle of the story. So I decided not to do too many quest related or story related videos. But what I think I'll do now is do a bunch of videos where I just read all the glossary stuff. There is quite a lot of reading material in this game. So you have the characters, like from the main characters to really rather insignificant characters that I can't even remember myself. You have this books section, which I think was added fairly recently because I never noticed it until now. But it's basically a library of all the letters and notes and books that I've found and sold throughout the game. So even if I sold them, they will still be here. There's quest books and normal books. I never really took the time to read any of this stuff during the game, but I've heard a lot of people say that the lore is very interesting and very much worth reading, so this is also a way for me to appreciate the time they took to write all this stuff. And then lastly, there's also the bestiary. Sorry if I say that wrong. Of all the monsters that I've come across. But today I would like to start with characters, and specifically the absolute main characters. But I'm not going to start with Geralt, but with Dandelion, because he's the narrator of the story. So all the other character entries are, and I guess also all the bestiary entries are written as if told by Dandelion. So I think it makes more sense to start with him rather than Geralt. Obviously there will be very big spoilers, so if you're interested in playing this game and not knowing everything that's going to happen throughout the story, I sincerely don't recommend that you watch this, because it will very likely ruin the game for you if you don't want to know what's coming. But anyway, let's start with Dandelion. I would wager anyone that you, dear reader, are a person of culture and taste, and therefore already familiar with me, Dandelion, and the role I am to play in the following tale. Nevertheless, allow me to sketch a few lines by way of self-portrait, for the sake of thoroughness, and in the event you have spent much of the last half-century in some dark corner where the light of my star has yet to reach. born in 1229, a talented poet and troubadour, a graduate of Oxenford Academy, a frequent performer at royal courts, an unequaled lover appreciated, and in some cases adored by ladies worldwide, a skilled negotiator and a stirring orator. Such is the image of the bard Dandelion as painted by his friends and promoters. This image is, of course, somewhat over-bright in its coloring. I personally prefer to think of myself as a dedicated artist enthralled to his muse, one whose work has benefited immeasurably from the fact that I am, and forever will remain a close friend and steadfast companion to the Witcher Geralt. It is his fate I chronicle in this present work, and his story which I shall sing till the end of my days. Having learned of my disappearance, Geralt dropped everything to find out what had become of me. Though at first he suspected the cause of my trouble lay in my many and turbulent affairs of the heart, he later determined that I had strayed into a life of crime, seeking to steal treasure belonging to one of the leaders of Novigrad's underworld. The motivations for my actions only became clear some time later. I proved that when it comes to helping Cirilla, I would not balk about at sticking my head into the lion's maw, let alone crossing such common scum as Cyprian Wiley, better known for good reason as Whoreson. Only a madman calls it courage to fight when faced with overwhelming odds. Though known for my capricious and unpredictable charm, I am not yet considered mad, and so, while defending my companion's escape to the very last, I ultimately allowed the temple guards to take me to their prison, where I awaited my imminent execution. The saying does not lie. True friends show when fortune hides her face. My dear comrades gave ample evidence of this by breaking me free from my prison transport, saving me from certain and painful death. Next up, obviously, is the story of the main character, Geralt of Rivia. Many cannot fathom the friendship Geralt of Rivia and I, Dandelion, have shared all these years. When we first began breaking bread together, spiteful tongues said he'd be better off cutting my throat and dumping my body in a hollow tree before I provoked someone else into doing the same to us both. Those individuals spoke out of pure jealousy, for Geralt was my dearest friend, a fact which he gave ample evidence of on numerous occasions. I could say a great deal about that world-famous monster hunter, the man known in outer speech as Gwynbleed, or in our younger yet no less noble tongue, as the White Wolf. For Geralt of Rivia is a truly exceptional individual. A brief encounter might tempt one to label him a mere swinger of swords, a simple monster catcher, a rough and tumble practitioner of a dirty trade. But peer closer, and you will soon discover he is a man of unplumbed depths. That's a tricky unique views and vast world-spanning experience. On the surface, he is introverted, tight-lipped, one might even say gruff, but underneath lies an overflowing sea of goodwill, good humor, and an honest readiness to help his friends, be it with a bit of sound advice or the masterful application of his blade. Setting aside cumbersome false modesty, I can say that I know his story better than any man alive. I was with him through hard times and good, helping with wise advice, warm words, and razor wit. As a result, I am a vital part of his story, both in its earlier and present portions. It is thus my duty to continue my chronicle and, for the benefit of future generations, put in writing the next chapter of his deeds and exploits. I'm trying to do this in kind of a logical order, as in starting with the most important characters. And the second most important character of the game is definitely Cirilla, or Ciri. Cirilla, Fiona, Ellen, Rhiannon. What can I possibly say about her? That we call her Ciri for short, that she was born in 1251, that she has ashen hair and a scar on her cheek. All true, and that's the Cirilla I know best, the one I first laid eyes upon those many years ago, the one who seemed thoroughly, well, not ordinary, but certainly not as extraordinary as she in fact is. For Cirilla is also a highly skilled witcher, heiress to several thrones, the last bearer of the Elder Blood, a powerful source endowed with exceptional magic talents, and the Lady of Time and Space. Her hair color and date of birth seem rather incidental now, don't they? I could also tell you she's Geralt's adopted daughter, but that would be a gross simplification. Ciri is much more. She is his destiny, his unexpected child, someone bound to the Witcher by fate's most inextricably tangled fetters. Lots of strange words for me. Following age-old Witcher tradition, Geralt took Ciri to Kaer Morhen when she came into his care. There, he and Vesemir taught her the ways of the professional monster slayer. It was then that her magic talents were first revealed, and they discovered she was a source. Ciri's gift proved a curse as well. Because of it, she would one day have to hide from the entire world, even Geralt. Ciri's biography contained one more great secret. Her natural father was none other than the Emperor of Nilfgaard, Emhyr and Emreis. His words confirmed the fears swirling in Geralt's mind. Ciri had returned and was in mortal danger, for the unrelenting wild hunt was on her trail. Yennefer made it clear why the Wild Hunt wanted Ciri. Eredin wanted the power latent in her elder blood. She also let Geralt know that Ciri had been seen in war-ravaged Felon, as well as in Novigrad, the largest city in the world. Reports that Ciri had spent time at Crow's Perch proved true. She was there as the guest of the local warlord, Philip Strenger, also known as the Bloody Baron. Despite his violent moniker, this man treated Ciri with kindness and respect. It seemed that during Ciri's time in Velen, she got into a quarrel with some sort of witch or witches in the swamps. Geralt learned the truth of Ciri's time in the swamps from the mouths of the hideous crones themselves. Even Ciri, better able to hold her own than most anyone in existence, was lucky to escape from these powerful beings alive and intact. The visions revealed by the Mask of Ouroboros made it clear beyond all doubt. Ciri had played a role in the magic catastrophe on Ard Skellig. More importantly, they confirmed she had been in Skellige, and then fled in the face of grave danger. Ultimate tangible proof of the truth that the Emperor had spoken the truth about Ciri's pursuers came in the form of a corpse, one belonging to a warrior of the Wild Hunt. The riders truly were on Ciri's trail. In hindsight, putting Ciri in touch with Whoreson was not one of my brightest ideas. In my defense, I can only say that her situation was so perilous, even the riskiest plans seemed better than inactivity. After many adventures and mishaps, Geralt finally found Ciri on the Isle of Mists. When he crossed the threshold into the room in which she slumbered, the protective spell Avalach had cast upon her snapped under the sheer weight of their combined destinies. Geralt was reunited with his adopted daughter after years of separation and searching. No words can describe the joy he felt in that moment. Avalach's prediction that the Wild Hunt would descend on Kaer Morhen as soon as Ciri arrived was proven true. All present spared no effort in defending her. In the end, though, it was she who defended them. Through an outburst of unbridled power, the raw strength of her elder blood, she saved the protectors of Kaer Morhen from certain death. Though it was Cirilla who convinced Geralt to go with her to exact vengeance on Emreis, it was the Witcher who stood against Vesemir's killer in a final duel. Ciri slays some evil that day, however, killing 2 of the 3 monstrous sisters who had usurped for themselves rule over Velen. Ciri had not seen her father since she was a young child. Emhyr was in effect a stranger to her, and one responsible for the deaths of many people she cherished at that. Standing face to face with him was surely one of the most difficult challenges she had ever undergone. Ciri emerged from this trial victorious, and with an enhanced awareness of how deeply and unconditionally Geralt, her adopted father, loved and cared for her. Confronting the Lodge, now there's a difficult task, one many a brave soul would move mountains to avoid. Cirilla, however, decided to stand and face the powerful sorceresses. From the accounts that reached my ears, I can conclude that she let the mistresses of magic know in clear terms that she had a mind of her own and would not be a servile tool in their hands. A visit to Avalach's secret laboratory revealed facts that shook Ciri to her core. Though she had long known she was the last of Lara Dorn's line, the only remaining heir to the so-called elder blood. Only now did she realize this line had been an object of unbroken interest to elven sages and human mages for 2 centuries. Another blow came from the words of an arrogant she-elf, which rankled in her heart like a thorny ramble. Though anger and hurt threatened to overwhelm her, Ciri did not give in to her emotions. Geralt's words helped her in this, leaving her with no doubt how precious she was to him. Eredin had perished, but the evil king's death only ever heralds the end in fairy tales. In our story, this meant it was time for Ciri to face her destiny. Only she possessed the power to stop the White Frost, the near mythical force which threatens not just our world, but countless others as well. I hope this sort of makes sense to you. I kind of forgot that these character entries are very fragmented because they get updated after important story missions. So they're not actually like a fully coherent story as such. Okay, let's move on to the main villain of the play, Eredin. The name of the king of the wild hunt, the identity of the lord of nightmares, the being behind the frightful mask. This long remained unknown. Over time, however, scraps of information gradually coalesced into a full likeness of our foe, but did nothing to detract from the terror he inspired. The Wild Hunt was in truth an elite cavalry brigade from the world of the NL, the Alderfolk, and was commanded by their ambitious and ruthless king, Eredin Glass. Probably butchered that name as well. He would travel via secret paths through the cold emptiness between his world from ours to capture victims and take them back to his homeland as slaves. The current object of this hunt was Cirilla, whose power he wanted to harness for his own uses. The only obstacle in his path, Geralt of Rivia. Ciri was able to shed a bit of light on the King of the Wild Hunt motivations. The threat of annihilation hung over the NL homeland. Eredin, a warrior and a conqueror by nature, decided to solve this problem in the simplest possible way, by seizing our world. The key to doing so is Ciri's power, which would allow him to open the gates to a full-scale invasion. Trusting in the strength of his magic and the skill of his riders, Eredin boldly launched a frontal assault on Kaer Morhen. Despite the defenders' noble sacrifices, he came close to a victory. Only Ciri's unleashed power forced Eredin to fall back. It was clear, however, that he would learn from this defeat, and that his next attack would be insurmountable. According to Avalach, it was Eredin who bore responsibility for the death of the Oberon Weirsittach, or something, the previous ruler of the NL. Revealing this fact would certainly not earn him friends and popularity amongst the elder folk. Eredin's last battle is worthy of a poem, nay, an epic, all to itself. Yet this is neither the time nor the place to pen it. To be brief, on that fateful day, the cruel king of the hunt seemed unstoppable, and tore asunder all who dared stand in his way, until, that is, his way led him smack into Geralt of Rivia. The two expert fighters faced off in a last skirmish on the ghastly deck of the Nagelfair. The fight was long and difficult, but the Witcher's blade struck true in the end, cutting down Eredin's dreams of power and conquest. So died Eredin Breaclass, king of the Wild Hunt. Okay, I'm going to do two more. I'm going to read Emhyr's entry, because he's come up quite a bit in the previous entries. And then I'll also do Vesemir. Okay. Emhyr for Emreis. Few names in the continent's history arouse as much terror and respect as that of Emhyr for Emreis, death when Adan in Karn ate Morfoot, the white flame dancing on the graves of his foes. Emperor of Nilfgaard, Lord of Metina, Ebbing and Gemera, Sovereign of Nazir and Vicovaro. He was ruler of half the civilized world and aspiring conqueror of the other half. He was a personage whose deeds and decisions shaped the fates of whole kingdoms and populations. What then could he possibly want of a simple witcher? The emperor clearly and succinctly laid out what he wanted. His daughter and Geralt's ward, Ciri, was in great danger, for the Wild Hunt was on her trail. Geralt, a superb tracker linked to Emhyr's daughter by the iron bonds of destiny, stood a better chance of finding her than anyone else in the world. Thanks to Geralt's efforts, Emhyr finally had the chance to talk to his daughter face to face after long years of separation. Geralt doesn't know what topic was broached during their conversation, save that Ciri stormed out of it in a visible huff. Okay, and lastly for today is Vesemir. Vesemir was the oldest living member of the Wolf School, and most likely the oldest witcher of any school on the continent. About as long in years as the ruins of Cairborn themselves, and though eternally complaining about his creaky bones, this master of the witcher trade gave no thought to a well-deserved retirement. Grey but still spry, he continued to ply the monster hunting trade into his golden years. Effectively too, as he'd seen more beasts than all his students put together. A harsh and demanding instructor in Geralt's youth, over the years he had become something of an adoptive father and mentor to the other witchers, always ready to help with sage advice and steady hands. In the spring of 1272, when our story begins, Vesemir had joined Geralt on his search for Yennefer, trekking with him through war-ravaged Temeria. Vesemir always said no Witcher had ever died in his bed, so death in combat surely awaited him as well. Death's wait ended on that mournful day when the Wild Hunt descended on Kaer Morhen in pursuit of Ciri. Vesemir gave his all to protect his former ward, whom he had always treated like an adopted granddaughter, and died a hero's death at the hands of Emreis, the Hunt's cruel general. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments, because I really, or the feedback really helps me a lot, is what I'm trying to say. I certainly look forward to doing more of these reading videos of The Witcher 3. Not in the least because it's interesting for me to read, because I like learning more about the lore of the game. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.